We've talked an awful lot about Marvel this week, and honestly, heading into next week, it's going to be pretty relentless, I can imagine, especially with the fallout of Fantastic Four, and tomorrow, the way that this works, because today this is coming out on Sunday, spoilers, I'm recording this a couple of days early, so yeah, on Tuesday, we're going to be getting, the actual box office numbers, so yeah, take a look for that, and, stay tuned for that, because I don't even know at this point in time what the projections, what the Thursday numbers are, or anything like that. It's all still up in the air, and honestly, yeah, it's going to be interesting because the fate of the superhero, not just the movie, but of the entire genre, but everything that really kicked off in earnest, I would say 2008. You could go back to probably the Dark Knight trilogy if you want to go to really its genesis, but for the slop that we have right now, it all started with one tremendous movie in Iron Man. Funnily enough, culminates with a cameo of Robert Downey Jr. some 17 years later. I digress. Kevin Feige was out on the interview circuit ahead of the release of Fantastic Four, and well, he stopped off at a lot of different places, and we went through a bunch of those interviews, but there was one subject that we talked about, that I purposefully decided to just take out of the equation, mostly because, I wanted to keep it for one specific video, and that's the writers, okay? The writers for one specific project that has been bandied about since, just about Robert Downey Jr. signing on to be a part of the MCU, it seems like at this point in time, but no, it was just 2018. 10 years into the MCU, mind you, but I digress. But the state that the series is in right now, you can lay a lot of the blame at the feet of Kevin Feige, because ultimately everything does go through his baseball-bedecked cranium. But he can only critique the projects, and he can only critique the words that are being presented to him because of these harebrained, idiotic writers that are giving him the notes to read. And honestly, the fact that he's greenlit a bunch of these scripts, how many of the different examples, especially, there was not one good script that came out of Phase 5. Even the people that said that they liked Deadpool and Wolverine, it's it was in spite of that. It was mostly because of the keys that were jangled at that point in time, as opposed to the plot or the characters or the script even making a modicum of sense. But yeah, the writing quality at the MCU, the fact that it's been able to go on for this long, it's going to be a talking point that is going to be discussed by historians in the years to come. And honestly, they are not learning. We're talking about Marvel and Disney here. They are not learning from their failures. They're not learning from the fact that these things have a ridiculous level of churn. Nobody has any long-term and lasting memories with any of the projects that you're putting out. They are infinitely disposable because they're written by and for children. And that's not me saying, and I've gone to bat for the quality and sanctity of children's entertainment. It's just these scripts, most of them are written in crayons with drool in the margins. They're written by abject, helmet-bedecked retards, and they keep on bringing them back. And Kevin Feige talks scaling back, losing Kang, and his text to James Gunn after Superman. Now, we talked about Kang earlier in the week. We talked about scaling back as well by him talking to Gareth Edwards about, that really shit movie that you made that nobody talks about anymore? How'd you make it look so good for so cheap? Okay, cool. We're not going to do any of that stuff. And instead, we're just going to rewrite shit on the fly. Because if we're actually worried about, cutting costs instead of having a completed script before we head into production, we're just going to use a couple of visual effects tricks and that'll make it cost less, right? Yeah, sure. Whatever, man. Yeah, one common rejoinder that we've seen time and time again, but Feige knows that Marvel made too many movies and shows and the other things that they did wrong. Yeah. It was too much too much quantity over quality. That was the problem. It wasn't that if you put out that same amount of content, which you're still doing to this very day, even though you're trying to repackage it as a brand new approach, you're doing the exact same shit. 3 movies and 3 TV shows, either of live action or animated, visual distinction, but at the end of the day, they're all written incredibly poorly. If these were all good to great projects, you wouldn't be hearing about a different approach. Hell, you might actually see more content be greenlit. You might actually see a Marvel movie running in theaters every couple of months. You might see something brand new coming out on Disney Plus every single week coming out of the Marvel machine. But no, because they were all bad and they were getting hyped to the moon and back at the time, but now with retrospect, you can see them from so many different reviewers online. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing so many of those essays coming out here now that the lid is officially closed and nailed shut on Phase 5, that actually Phase 5 really wasn't that good, because we've seen everything coming out after you were a couple of projects deep into Phase 5 about Phase 4 actually not being that good. But all of those shills hyped every single one of those projects to the moon and back. Just we keep on seeing these same excuses come through time and time again. Thunderbolts failed, yes, even though it was a very, very good movie. According to Kevin Feige, it was a bad movie. It was a terrible movie. And you know what? Everybody who said that it was actually really good can't even tell you anything about it 2 months after its release. And another reason things aren't going to change at Marvel is because nothing's... Oh, Jesus Christ, that was weird. Nothing is changing at Marvel. Feige is saying put it Marvel for now. But alongside, I think it was the Variety article we looked at earlier this week. Well, the first one that we looked at the beginning of the week. This Hollywood Reporter article, which does a lot of recapping of the stuff that we talked about in Variety. That's why I didn't really want to go over this again. I just want to draw attention to the last paragraph and the last sentence, okay? Talking about Avengers Doomsday. Okay, there's plussing happening every day with Avengers Doomsday set right now. And it's amazing to watch because what those filmmakers, those actors, both the ones that are playing these characters for the first or second time and the ones playing them for the 10th or 12th time, the best in the world at what they do, and these characters, and know these characters so well. So if they have an idea, you want to listen to it and you want to adjust to it and you want to improve it, and I want to change that. Talking about, Marvel has never stated a movie without a full script. Has never started a movie without a full script, and also added that he's never been satisfied with the script the company has had. So they're writing and they're filming and they're producing Avengers Doomsday, as we've talked about right here and time again. Even though Avengers Doomsday has been filming for 3 months, Marvel boss Kevin Feige says script is still being worked on. There's plussing happening every single day. They've been filming for 3 months. They don't know what they're doing with the third act. It's not finished at all whatsoever. The Russo brothers are once again in over their head, but don't worry, guys. Help is on the way. Stephen McFeely is writing the script. It's normally McFeely and they normally have a duo working on their scripts. We're talking about the Russo brothers, even when they were off doing their other post-Marvel projects as well. But they brought in somebody to help out Stephen McFeely. Feige revealed that Loki creator and also the scribe behind Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, Michael Waldron, is also helping. Oh, fuck. If you thought that Avengers Doomsday was going to be a clusterfuck beforehand, this is the idiot who thought that Incursions, was going to be a great thing. Something that was introduced in Mom, but was never referenced in any of the other multiverse stories that were out there. Fuck. What a dumpster fire this thing is going to be. But hey, guys, don't worry. Good news. We finally have a way forward in regards to the Blade movie. The Blade, hey, you guys remember that? That little thing that was announced back at Comic-Con 2018. Mahershala Ali is still attached. Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige says as he reveals the film will now be set in the present day because Blade was a casualty of Marvel's quantity over quality push. It had 4 different scripts. Yeah, we know. That was information that was rumored for a while now, how it was, ostensibly their first idea, or one of the ones that they were at least confident enough to go forward with, was pretty much Sinners. Was a 1930 period piece about Blade in the in the 1930s fighting off the KKK. So fantastic. I just wonder if that was another one of those scripts where Blade was like 4th down on the list of important characters behind his daughter and a couple of other women. Yeah, that was definitely one of those other 4 scripts. But hey, don't worry, guys. Blade is in good hands. Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige gave an update on the company currently stands with Blade, telling the Wrap alongside a group of reporters on Friday. The studio didn't feel confident in the script. Well, why would you need to do that? Because you can go ahead with other projects if you don't have a script, if it's not completed, or hell, you can even bring in hacks after the fact to touch that stuff up if you're not confident in it. So highlighting that there has been 4 versions of the project as it became a casualty for the push of quantity over quality. Bro, this thing has been in development for 7 years. Stop lying. Mahershala Ali is still attached to Star as the half-human vampire hunter, Feige confirmed, while openly admitting that the company's recent struggles stem from stop it. Just because you continue to say it doesn't mean it's actually going to be true. As a consequence, that Disney mandated expansion to fill up Disney+. We have spent 12 years working on the Infinity Saga, saying that it's never going to happen to us. And we always had more characters that people were asking about that could possibly make, because we weren't going to make a movie, we weren't going to make a movie a month. That's crazy. Well, if they were all successful, you fucking bet your sweet ass they would have. Now, suddenly, there's a mandate to make more, and we go, well, we do have more. And that led to an expansion, and Blade came up with that as well. That's interesting. Yeah, you had this expansion, and you also had Disney money. You also had MCU money, meaning that you could get anybody that you literally wanted, and you decided to bring back Michael Waldron. The fuck is wrong with you? Feige acknowledged that the studio produced too much content during the Disney Plus push. We made maybe 51 hours of stories between 2007 and 2019. So 12 or 13 years of 51 hours of stories in the 6 years since. We have well over 100 hours of stories in half the time. That's too much. No, but you also employed a hell of a lot more people, and they all just magically managed to produce some of the worst shit imaginable. As it came time to make Blade, Marvel had already started pulling back, and Feige noted that the company didn't feel confident in the Blade script, so they pushed pause. Oh, really? I wonder who did that. Okay. He didn't simply want to put together, just put a leather outfit on him and have him start killing vampires. Holy fuck. We didn't actually want Blade doing Blade things. No. We need to have more of that social commentary that is going to be all over the new X-Men project that is coming out. Yay. It had to be unique, and it had to feel right. Into the timeline, when we started pulling back and saying only accept insanely great, then you wouldn't have greenlit anything that you've put out in the past 6 years. And it wasn't insanely great at the time. Feige added that Marvel typically improves scripts during production, but felt this approach wouldn't work for Blade. You're a fucking liar, dude. You're doing that for something that is infinitely more important than a fucking vampire killing movie. You're doing it with the one thing that could potentially save your entire franchise, but no. Blade's more important than Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. You're a liar. Stop lying. It didn't feel like, as we often do, you can start and have a good script and make it a great script through production. We didn't feel confident that we could do that on Blade, and we didn't want to do that to Mahershala, and you want to do that to us? Sure. Okay, it was previously reported that Blade would be a period piece. Feige confirmed that version of the script previously took place in the 30s, but that landed on a modern day take. Oh, great. So now you're just going to have a bunch of women around Blade because that would be unique. May I remind you, Fantastic Four is now led by the Invisible Woman. There were 3 or 4, 2 that were a period, 2 that were not, and we landed on a modern day one. Oh, great, and that's what we're focusing on. Marvel veteran writer Eric Pearson, who most recently worked on Fantastic Four, and he also worked on Thunderbolts, and he also worked on WandaVision. Yeah, great. He's working on the Blade script. Michael Starbury, Nick Palazzo, and Michael Green wrote previous drafts of the script. Yeah, Blade has had several setbacks after first being announced. Okay, 2019. Sorry, I was overselling it by thinking that it was 2018. San Diego Comic-Con. And now more than ever, Marvel does not want to rush something into production that isn't ready. Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and give you a Wonder Man series. We'll just go ahead and follow up on the adventures of Coom Vision with Vision Quest that is coming out in 2026. We'll go ahead and give you a Punisher one-shot that is going to lead into Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Because you needed to focus on quality so much that you scrapped everything that you were doing with the original iteration of Daredevil Born Again, and then you repurposed and Frankenstein that into Season 1, and then still let the new showrunners run wild, and they produce some of the dumbest shit like Kingpin setting up a separate nation in an abandoned dock in New York City. Stupid company that just continues to lie and misrepresent reality. A Blade movie is easy, but as you can see in black and white, Kevin Feige and Marvel doesn't understand Blade. We didn't want to simply put a leather outfit on him and have him start killing vampires. That's Blade. That's what saved Marvel back in 1997, putting Wesley Snipes in a black trench coat and having him go through a blood-soaked nightclub, killing vampires left, right, and center. It was cool then. It would be cool now, but it doesn't adhere to your modern sensibilities because it's going to be Blade for the modern day, ladies and gentlemen. Can't fucking wait. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.